Hey everybody, so here we are in the middle of March, right around the halfway point of the NHL season. Some teams have played a little more than half their games, some teams have played a little less, some teams have played exactly half. And it's still a little early to be talking about the playoffs with half a season to go and a lot of tight divisional battles, but it's always fun to look ahead. And in this video, we're going to look and see what the playoff matchups would be in the first round if the season ended today. So yes, I know we're still a couple months away from the postseason, but these kind of what-if videos are always fun to do. And I enjoy taking a look at what playoff matchups would be at certain points during the year. So before we begin, I just ask, please hit that subscribe button and thumbs up if you haven't. Helps the channel an absolute ton and is greatly appreciated. But let's get into it. Here are your playoff matchups right now if the season were to end, right at this point. Obviously, first two rounds of the playoffs this year are all going to be within the same division, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Then the next round will be the winners of those first two rounds, and then when you get to the final four, it gets reset. Seeding gets reset by regular season record, and you have 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and then the winners of those two series play for the Stanley Cup. So the first round this year is all going to be within division, and these are the matchups right now. In the North, you have the number 1 seed Toronto Maple Leafs against the number 4 seed Montreal Canadiens. Now, Montreal hasn't been playing all that great recently after a very hot start to the season, but as of right now, they are still in a playoff spot. And obviously, them and Toronto have a real historic and big-time rivalry up in Canada. I think that would be an absolutely phenomenal series that would be really, really fun to watch. The 2 versus 3 matchup right now would be the Winnipeg Jets versus the Edmonton Oilers. This would be a really, really great series, I think. You've got Winnipeg, who's having a better season, much better season than I expected them to have this year. You have Edmonton, who, has had some really good stretches, some really frustrating stretches as well, but for the most part has had a solid season. They're trying to make up for what happened last year, losing in the qualifying round. They're going to try and make up for that with a good playoff run this year. So that first round series between two good Canadian teams would be a lot of fun to watch, I think. And I'd be catching as many of those games as I could. Moving on now to the Central Division. The first round 1 versus 4 matchup in the Central would be two of the biggest surprises in the NHL this year against each other. The Florida Panthers versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Florida is actually in first place in the Central right now, which I never, ever, ever would have expected heading into this season, but they have had a tremendous year. In Chicago, holding down 4th place in the Central right now. This was a team that I actually picked to finish last. I did not think the Blackhawks were going to do anything this year. I didn't like their goaltending. This was before Kevin Lankinen came onto the scene. They openly admitted that they were basically in a rebuild during this past offseason, and it's been anything but a rebuilding year for the Chicago Blackhawks. They have had a tremendous season and currently hold a playoff spot, and they would play Florida in that first round matchup. That'd be a great series. Then 2 versus 3, we would have the Carolina Hurricanes against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, this would be a finals-level series in the first round. Two of the best teams in the league, two teams that are incredibly talented, also can play a gritty, grinding, playoff-style game as well. Carolina and Tampa Bay would potentially be the best series of the entire playoffs, and it would happen right now in the first round. I mean, just incredible matchup there between two incredibly talented teams and teams that know, what it takes to win. And Tampa obviously won the Stanley Cup last season, would be going for a repeat. Carolina, they were in the Eastern Conference Final 2 years ago. Then they got bounced in the first round last year. They want to get back to going on a deep run. That'd be a huge series for them. That would be incredible to watch, and I think I'd be watching every single one of those games. Moving on now to the East Division. The 1 versus 4 matchup right now would be the New York Islanders and the Boston Bruins. Now, quite honestly, with the way that Boston's been playing, they are lucky to even still be in a playoff spot at this point. The only thing going for the Bruins right now is that Philadelphia has stunk almost just as much. So that's kept the Bruins in the playoffs. The Islanders have been incredible recently. They haven't lost a game in probably close to a month now. I mean, they've won, I think, 10 or 11 straight. It's unreal how good the Islanders have been. And they're in first. They're the best team in the East right now. So this matchup does not bode well for the Bruins either, because Boston has lost every single game to the Islanders that they've played this season. So that would be a tough matchup for the Bruins, but it'd be a fun one for sure. Those are two physical hockey teams that don't really play run and gun. Like, that you're not going to get a fast up and down series there. You're going to get a methodical, heavy hitting possession kind of series that I think there'd be a lot of nastiness between the teams, and it'd make it really fun to watch, just because you could have some real nasty games between those two. Also in the East, the 2 versus 3 matchup right now would be, of course, the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins. How many times have these teams met in the playoffs in the last 5-6 years? Right now, it would happen again. Pittsburgh has been better this season than I thought they were going to be. I thought that this would finally be the year that the Penguins kind of drop off, but that has not been the case at all. Washington has been pretty much exactly what I thought they would be. Really good competitive team right now in second place in the East, but one of the better teams in the league for sure. And that'd be an incredible series. It always is when these two teams meet up. I personally never get tired of watching the Caps and the Penguins play against each other. They could play literally 80 times a year, and I don't think I would get tired of it. Like, they play such fun, exciting games with that touch of physicality and rivalry mixed into it, because they play each other so much and they've met in the playoffs so much, and it only ramps up even more when it's a playoff series compared to in the regular season. And I would love watching those Penguins and Caps games. Finally, we have the West. The West Division right now is led by the Vegas Golden Knights, and they would play the St. Louis Blues in the first round as the 1-4 matchup. This would be a fun series. St. Louis is dealing with a lot of injuries right now, which I think has hampered their ability to climb the standings, or at least stay up high in the standings. They've actually been up in the top 2 for a while this year, but they've fallen back now as Minnesota and Colorado start playing better, and they are dealing with a ton of guys out right now. But still, if they were to get healthy, I think the Blues could give Vegas a run for their money. I think it would be a fun series, and two of the better teams there out west, that would be a good time to watch, I think, for sure. And that'd be a competitive, tight series, in my opinion. And then the 2 versus 3 matchup out west is the Minnesota Wild, the surprise Minnesota Wild, who are in second place right now, against the Colorado Avalanche, who haven't been as dominant as I thought they were going to be this season, but have dealt with a lot of major injuries. They've had some big names miss time this year, and they're starting to play better as of recent. So Colorado might be finding their groove for the second half of the season here. That would be one hell of a playoff series with how good Minnesota's played this year, and then the Avalanche trying to go deep into the playoffs and live up to expectations. That would be one heck of a playoff series without a doubt. So, I'd be really, really excited to watch that. So looking as a whole, these playoff matchups, I think for the most part would be really, really good. As far as series that I think stand out to me that would be super exciting to watch, Carolina and Tampa Bay tops the list. Washington and Pittsburgh would also be really, really good. And I think that Jets-Oilers series would be absolutely phenomenal as well, as would the Wild and an Avalanche. So I just picked all of the 2-3 matchups, basically. Didn't even realize I was doing that until I just looked at it and was like, wait, I just picked all the 2-3 matchups. I mean, I think all of these series would be awesome. There's none that I think would be a real blowout. I don't see any sweeps coming if this were the first round. Not even really any like 5-gamers. Maybe Toronto could beat Montreal in 5, but I think Carey Price would keep Montreal in that a little bit more. Maybe Florida could beat Chicago in 5, but if Chicago gets the goaltending, then they're more competitive than that. So overall, these would be the playoff matchups as of right now if the season just ended today. And overall, I think they would be really, really good and exciting playoff matchups for the first round. There are definitely some series here that I would be super excited to watch and certainly be covering as much as possible on this channel. So just wanted to take a look here at what the playoff matchups would be. I know that it's a little early to be thinking about playoffs, but it's always fun to do this. I'll probably do it again closer towards the end of the season, maybe with like a month to go or something like that. I'll do a video on like, this is what the playoff matchups would be right now. Let's see what they are when the playoffs actually begin, but that would probably not be for another month or so. But yeah, it's always a fun video to do, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. So like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.